Have you ever wondered why the one you desire most sometimes stays silent about what she truly wants, even when she feels it deeply inside? It isn't because she doesn't know, and it isn't because she doesn't feel. Most of the time, it's because she has spent a lifetime being taught to protect her emotions, to quiet her instincts, to hide the parts of herself that feel too powerful, too needy, too vulnerable. But here is the truth most people miss. The female body is not a mystery. It is a story written in sensation, emotion, and trust. And when you learn how to read that story, you don't need her to say a word. Her body will respond. Because for many women, silence is something they learned long before desire ever entered the picture. Long before attraction, before intimacy, before curiosity, there were rules, expectations, and quiet signals absorbed from the world around them. Some were spoken out loud. Be polite, be modest, don't want too much, don't ask for too much. Others were never said, but deeply felt. Your body is not something to talk about. Your needs are inconvenient. Your wanting is dangerous. Your pleasure is shameful. And so, over time, that silence becomes natural. Comfortable, automatic. Even when the body feels deeply, the voice hesitates. It's not that women don't know what they want. In fact, many women are incredibly aware of their bodies, their emotions, their responses. The problem isn't awareness. The problem is permission. Somewhere along the way, many women learned that to express desire was to risk judgment, to be seen as too forward, too demanding, too emotional. Too much, and when the cost of honesty feels like rejection, most people choose safety instead. Now imagine constantly translating your feelings into something socially acceptable. Imagine feeling a spark, a pull, a wave of warmth, and then instantly telling yourself, don't say that, don't show that, don't make it awkward. Over time, that internal censor becomes so strong that even when a woman is with someone she trusts, even when she is safe, her first instinct might still be to downplay, to deflect, to stay quiet. Not because she doesn't care, but because silence has been her armor. Another reason is that women are often raised to be caretakers of other people's feelings. From a young age, many girls are encouraged to be nice, to keep the peace, to not upset others. That pattern doesn't magically disappear in adulthood. During intimate moments, instead of asking themselves, what do I want right now? They may subconsciously ask, is he okay? Am I doing this right? Is this making him happy? Their focus moves outward, onto the other person's experience, and their own desires get pushed to the side. And the more someone ignores their own wants, the harder it becomes to name them. It's like trying to hear a quiet voice in a very loud room. At first it's there, then it fades, and then you're not even sure what it was saying anymore. That's why some women genuinely struggle to verbalize what turns them on. Not because it isn't there, but because they've spent years turning the volume down on themselves. There is also the fear of misunderstanding. A woman may worry that if she says what she likes, it will be taken the wrong way. She might be labeled. She might be seen as too demanding, or too experienced, or not pure enough, or on the other side, too complicated. These labels may seem small, but they carry enormous emotional weight. So instead of risking a label, she chooses quiet. Add to that the fact that pleasure, especially for women, is deeply tied to emotional safety. If she doesn't feel fully safe, fully relaxed, fully respected, her body may feel guarded, even if her mind wants connection. When the body is guarded, it's very difficult to talk about what feels good, because on some level, she is still in protection mode. Opening up verbally requires trust at the deepest level, and trust isn't built in a moment. It isn't built by words alone. It is built by consistency, by gentleness, by someone who listens without laughing, dismissing, or rushing. Someone who doesn't turn vulnerability into a joke, a story, or a power move. Someone who treats her honesty as something sacred, not something to exploit. There is also an inner conflict that many women experience. Part of her may long to express desire openly and freely. Another part may feel it's dangerous to do so. One side says, be honest, the other says, be careful. And in that tug-of-war, silence often wins. Not because silence is true, but because silence feels safer. On a deeper level, Some women were never taught how to talk about their bodies in a positive way. They learned the mechanics of biology, but not the poetry of sensation. They learned the risks, but not the joy. They learned what not to do, but not how to express what feels good. So even if they were given permission, they might not have the words. That isn't a lack of desire. It's a lack of language. And when someone lacks the words for their own experience, frustration grows, confusion grows, self-doubt grows. They may wonder, is something wrong with me? When in reality, nothing is wrong at all. They've simply never been invited into a space where their voice mattered. Now, consider how powerful it would be to be the person who changes that for her. Not by demanding answers, not by pushing for confessions, but by creating an environment where nothing has to be forced, where silence is not pressure, filled, where her pace is respected. Because when a woman feels safe to speak, her words don't come out as demands. They come out as sharing. They come out as connection. They come out as trust. She doesn't want to be interrogated. She wants to be understood. And that is why patience is not just a virtue. It is a powerful form of attraction. There is another layer to this, one that is rarely discussed. For many women, what turns them on is not just physical sensation. It is emotional atmosphere. It is context, the place, the mood, the tone. The way you treated her earlier that day, the way you looked at her across a room, the way you made her feel when she doubted herself. It is all connected, and because of that, it's harder to express in simple words. How do you explain that what excites you is not just a touch, but the meaning behind it? How do you explain that a certain glance, a certain phrase, a certain kind of attention makes you feel chosen, seen, powerful? Those things are difficult to put into straightforward sentences. They are felt more than they are described. So sometimes, instead of trying to explain, she stays quiet and hopes the other person will feel it, sense it, notice it. And when they don't, a disconnect happens, not because the connection isn't there, but because it hasn't been translated into a shared language. This is where awareness becomes more important than technique. When you pay attention to the subtleties, when you notice her breathing, her body language, her shifts in energy, you are listening to her even when she doesn't speak. And when you respond with care instead of rushing, with curiosity instead of assumption, she begins to feel that maybe, just maybe, it is safe to open up. She might not say it all at once. It might come in small sentences. Little hints, gentle guidance, and those are sacred, because this is her courage slowly unfolding. Never underestimate the bravery it takes for someone who has stayed silent for years to finally whisper what they want. And when she does, when she finally allows her truth to rise to the surface, what she is really saying is not just, "This is what I like." She is saying, "This is who I am." That is why this topic is not about manipulation. It is not about getting anything. It is about understanding. It is about creating a space where honesty is celebrated, not punished. If you want to reach a woman's deepest centers of desire, don't start with her body. Start with her safety. Start with her comfort. Start with how you make her feel when nothing physical is happening at all. Because the truth is, what truly turns her on is not a secret place. It is not a hidden trick. It is the feeling of being cherished without being controlled, wanted without being pressured, seen without being judged. And when that happens, when her heart relaxes, when her mind feels at ease, when her guard finally drops, she won't struggle to express herself anymore. Her silence will turn into softness. Her hesitation will turn into honesty. Her fear will turn into fire. Physical attraction is often treated as if it exists in isolation, as if it's purely a reaction to appearance, touch, or timing. But the truth, the deep, almost magical truth, is that the strongest physical attraction is never purely physical. It is born from emotional connection. That invisible current running between two people, the understanding, the resonance, the feeling of being truly known, is what turns ordinary contact into electrifying intimacy. Think about the moments when you felt someone's presence so strongly that your pulse quickened without a single touch. That is the hidden power of emotional connection. It primes the body before the hands, the lips, or the eyes even enter the scene. When someone feels emotionally connected, they become more present, more attuned, more open. Their senses sharpen, not because of biology alone, but because the brain interprets emotional safety as a signal that pleasure is allowed. Emotional connection begins with listening, but not the surface-level kind of listening where you nod and wait for your turn to speak. Real listening is active, mindful, and empathic. It's noticing how her eyes shift when she's excited, how her tone changes when she's uncomfortable, how the smallest smile can signal trust. Every subtlety is a map to what she responds to, and paying attention to it is not manipulation. It is respect. This connection also thrives on validation. When you acknowledge her feelings, her thoughts, her desires, she senses that she is seen. And being seen ignites desire. There is something primal about knowing that the person you care for values your inner world. It activates the nervous system, releases tension, and allows the body to respond to touch and closeness in ways that mere physical proximity never could. Think of emotional connection as the atmosphere that sets the stage for desire. Without it, even the most skilled touch can feel hollow. With it, the simplest gestures. A brush of the hand, a whisper in the ear, a shared laugh can trigger waves of arousal. This is why partners who invest in understanding each other often report more fulfilling, passionate relationships. Emotional resonance heightens the senses, magnifies touch, and makes every interaction more intense. Another critical element is empathy. When you can feel what she feels without judgment, you create a feedback loop. She relaxes, her body relaxes, her brain registers that she is safe, understood, and desired. The more she trusts that her emotions are welcome, the more her body allows itself to respond freely. And when desire flows freely, attraction becomes undeniable. Emotional connection also amplifies anticipation. Shared secrets, inside jokes, thoughtful gestures, and even subtle glances can create a slow, burning tension that ignites physically when the moment is right. The mind, when stimulated by connection, heightens sensitivity to touch. Her body responds not just to sensation, but to the meaning behind it, the feeling that she is cherished, chosen, and admired. It is important to understand that this connection cannot be faked. Women are finely attuned to authenticity. Attempting to simulate empathy or interest will be sensed immediately. Emotional connection requires presence, intention, and a willingness to show your own vulnerability. By revealing a piece of your inner world, you signal that you trust her, which encourages her to reciprocate. Desire is mutual, and it grows in an environment of reciprocal honesty. In practice, this means slowing down, taking time to ask about her day, listening to her stories, remembering small details, and responding with genuine interest. It means noticing her moods and adjusting your energy accordingly. It means being patient with silence, with hesitation, with complexity. Every act of attention builds a foundation for physical attraction that is more powerful than any touch or technique alone. When emotional connection is strong, the body follows naturally. Muscles relax, breathing deepens, nerves become more sensitive, and the mind shifts from guarding to exploring. Emotional connection essentially primes the body to feel pleasure. Without it, touch can feel mechanical, rushed, or even uncomfortable. With it, a light caress can feel electric, a whisper can make the heart race, and proximity alone can awaken desire. Emotional connection also bridges the gap between momentary desire and sustained passion. Physical attraction without emotional depth can be fleeting. It might excite briefly, but it rarely lasts. Emotional connection transforms attraction into something enduring. It turns infatuation into intimacy, sparks into fire, and casual touch into meaningful, shared experience. Finally, emotional connection teaches us the subtle art of anticipation and responsiveness. By understanding her emotional rhythm, you can anticipate what she wants before she asks. You learn to read tension and relaxation, curiosity and hesitation, interest and retreat. Your actions become extensions of empathy, not just mechanics of attraction. And in that alignment, desire becomes inevitable, profound, and mutual. In essence, Emotional connection is the hidden engine of physical attraction. It's what makes one touch linger, one look electric, one whisper unforgettable. Without it, the body may respond, but the soul remains untouched with it. Desire flows naturally, deeply, and unmistakably. It's a reminder that true intimacy is never about technique alone. It's about presence, understanding, and the willingness to meet someone fully, heart to heart, mind to mind, and then let the body follow. The body is responsive, but the heart is contagious. The mind is aware, but the soul is magnetic. And when emotional connection is nurtured, attraction becomes more than physical. It becomes a language spoken without words, a dance conducted through trust, and a fire that cannot be contained. Intimacy is not about rushing to touch or about hitting the obvious physical spots. True intimacy grows when you approach with awareness, respect, and a sensitivity to what she is experiencing in the moment. There are 3 areas of the body, safe, subtle, and profoundly connective, that, when touched thoughtfully, can awaken desire in ways words cannot. These areas are not about manipulation or trickery. They are about presence, attention, and creating a space where she feels both safe and desired. The first area is the back of the neck and the upper shoulders. It may seem small or ordinary, but the impact is immense. Tension collects here from stress, responsibility, worry, and the weight of daily life. When you approach this area gently, without rushing, and with a clear intention of comfort and care, something shifts. Muscles loosen, breathing deepens, the nervous system relaxes. This is not a zone of urgency. It is a zone of surrender. A gentle touch, a warm hand, a slow stroke along the trapezius or the nape of the neck communicates attention, presence, and safety. It tells her, without words, that she can let go, even for just a moment. And when tension releases, desire begins to awaken. The second area is the sides of the rib cage, just beneath the arms. This spot is often overlooked, but it is highly sensitive. It is not about pressure. It is about touch that is light, deliberate, and aware. Many women experience a deep, almost subconscious response when this area is approached with care. It is intimate without being overtly sexual, subtle without being distant. Stroking, light caressing, or a gentle hand resting there signals attention to her body as a whole, not just the obvious as zones. It communicates curiosity, awareness, and respect, and it often awakens a physical response that is directly tied to emotional openness, because the body feels recognized in a complete, thoughtful way. The third area is the lower back, just above the curve of the hips. This is a place of trust. When someone allows another person to approach here, it signals vulnerability, a willingness to let go, and comfort in the presence of the other. Again, subtlety is key. A gentle hand, a soft touch, or even the warmth of your palm as you linger slightly can create waves of sensation because it connects with both emotional and physical centers. It is not about intensity. It is about awareness, noticing how her body responds, adjusting your touch to her comfort, and staying fully present with her reactions. In this area, emotional connection and physical sensitivity meet, creating a profound sense of intimacy. Across all 3 areas, the principle is the same: presence over technique, patience over pressure, curiosity over assumption. Women are attuned to energy, intention, and respect. If your mind is elsewhere, if your heart is distracted, if your focus is on achievement instead of connection, these areas will not respond. But if your awareness is complete, if your attention is fully on her, on how she moves, how she breathes, how her body signals both comfort and delight, these zones can become gateways to intimacy that words alone cannot create. Touching these areas is not a mechanical act. It is a conversation without words. It is a dialogue of energy, subtlety, and responsiveness. The back of the neck tells a story of release. The sides of the rib cage tell a story of recognition. The lower back tells a story of trust. And when you listen to those stories with your hands, your awareness, and your presence, desire flows naturally. It is also important to note that timing matters as much as the touch itself. Approaching these areas in a rushed, distracted, or insistent way breaks connection rather than builds it. True intimacy requires patience. It requires waiting for the moment when her body signals openness, not when your mind dictates action. It requires reading subtle cues, a deepening breath, a shift in posture, a softening of muscles, or the way her eyes meet yours. When you approach at the right moment, the impact multiplies. Respect is the final, essential ingredient. Respect for boundaries, for her comfort, for her autonomy. These areas are powerful precisely because they are sensitive and connected to vulnerability. Respect ensures that your touch is received as gift rather than intrusion, as connection rather than conquest. And it is this respect, coupled with awareness, that allows these three areas to enhance intimacy profoundly. The beauty of these zones is that they combine the physical with the emotional. The neck and shoulders carry tension that can be released. The ribcage responds to gentle curiosity. The lower back communicates trust. Touching them with awareness creates a cycle. Emotional safety increases physical responsiveness, which in turn strengthens emotional connection, which then amplifies desire. It is a natural, cascading effect that cannot be forced, only facilitated through care, attention, and presence. When approached correctly, these three areas transform simple touch into something memorable, profound, and deeply intimate. The connection becomes not just about sensation, but about communication, understanding, and mutual enjoyment. Desire grows organically because it is rooted in emotional resonance as much as physical stimulation. Mastering the art of awareness in these zones is not about memorizing a sequence of moves. It is about attuning yourself to her, listening to her body, and responding with care. It is about being present, not achieving. It is about honoring her experience, not controlling it. And when that is done consistently, the result is an intimacy that feels natural, effortless, and incredibly powerful. These three areas, the neck and shoulders, the sides of the ribcage, and the lower back are safe, subtle, and respectful avenues to deepen intimacy. When approached with awareness, they create a bridge between emotional connection and physical attraction. They allow her to feel seen, safe, and desired all at once. And in that space, the silent language of the body speaks louder than words ever could, turning ordinary touch into an experience that awakens desire, trust, and closeness in ways that last long after the moment has passed. Many people believe that physical intimacy is a matter of technique, that if you just memorize the right motions, the right pressures, the right sequence, everything else will fall into place. But the truth is far simpler and far deeper. Presence, timing, and confidence matter far more than any technique could ever achieve. These are the invisible forces that transform touch into connection, moments into memory, and curiosity into desire. Presence means being fully here, fully engaged, and fully attuned to the person in front of you. It is not multitasking. It is not thinking about what comes next or replaying what came before. It is noticing every shift in breath, every micro-expression, every subtle change in posture. Presence is feeling her energy and allowing your own energy to match it, to harmonize with it, not overpower it. When you are truly present, even a gentle touch becomes electric because it carries your attention along with it. Your mind, heart, and body are aligned, and that alignment communicates safety, care, and desire in a way that no technique can replicate. Timing is the rhythm of connection. It is knowing when to pause, when to lean in, when to wait, when to move. Desire is not built in a single gesture. It is cultivated in moments, in anticipation, in the slow unfolding of attention and trust. Timing is sensitivity to her signals, her breath, her gaze, the way her muscles relax or tense. Rushing destroys connection because desire cannot be forced. It thrives in patience. It blooms in anticipation. The right touch at the wrong time may be ignored, resisted, or even create tension. But the right touch at the right moment, delivered after careful attention, feels like magic, effortless and natural. Timing is not about speed or efficiency. It is about attuning to her internal rhythm and moving in harmony with it. Confidence is the final, essential piece, but this is not arrogance. It is not bravado. True confidence is calm, grounded, and unwavering. It is the understanding that you are allowed to inhabit your body, your presence, and your intention fully, without apology or doubt. Confidence communicates trust. not just in yourself, but in the connection you are creating. Women are deeply sensitive to hesitation, uncertainty, and self-doubt. A touch delivered with confidence, even a light, subtle touch, carries weight because it signals security. It signals that you are capable of holding space for her vulnerability. And when she feels that security, her body responds more openly, more freely, more fully. Confidence transforms ordinary actions into gestures that feel intentional, meaningful, and magnetic. Together, presence, timing, and confidence create a framework far stronger than any checklist of motions. Technique alone may stimulate the body, but without these three elements, the experience is flat, mechanical, and forgettable. Presence allows you to listen and respond. Timing ensures that your response lands when it can be most felt. Confidence guarantees that your energy is received as grounding rather than hesitant. Technique without them is noise. Technique with them becomes music. Consider a simple touch, a hand resting on the back of her neck. If you do it absent-mindedly, thinking about what comes next, it may go unnoticed. If you do it too soon or too late, it may create tension instead of release. If you do it with uncertainty, the body senses it and remains guarded. But if you do it with full presence, at the moment her body signals openness, and with calm confidence, it can release tension, communicate care, and awaken desire in a way that no textbook could teach. Even in the three subtle, safe areas we discussed, the neck and shoulders, the sides of the ribcage, the lower back, presence, timing, and confidence are what make the touch meaningful. Awareness without presence is hollow. Perfect timing without confidence is shaky. Confidence without timing is clumsy. The magic happens when all three intersect. That is when a moment of touch transforms into a moment of connection, when physical sensation merges with emotional resonance, and when intimacy deepens naturally. This is why those who focus solely on technique often miss the point. They may know the anatomy, the pressures, the strokes, but they miss the unspoken language of the body, the signals of the mind, and the rhythm of trust. Women respond not just to motion, but to meaning. They respond to attention, to care, to the sense that someone is fully present and fully grounded in the moment with them. Presence, timing, and confidence are the vessels in which desire flows naturally. Technique is just the water. The lesson extends beyond intimacy. In all human connection, whether in a conversation, a gesture, or a relationship, the same principles apply. Being present, honoring timing, and exuding calm confidence amplifies impact. It transforms interaction from transactional to transformational. And in intimate moments, this transformation is not subtle. It is electric, palpable, and deeply remembered. So if you want to cultivate desire, closeness, and intimacy, focus less on memorizing moves and more on cultivating yourself. Develop your ability to be present in each moment, attuned to timing, and inhabit confidence fully. Practice listening with your eyes, your hands, and your heart. Watch for the subtle signals that indicate readiness, curiosity, or hesitation. Move in response, not from instruction. Touch with awareness, not obligation. Speak with intention, not volume. When you master presence, timing, and confidence, you discover a profound truth. Desire is not earned through mastery of technique alone. It is created in the space you hold, the energy you bring, and the trust you cultivate. It is the alignment of mind, body, and heart that awakens responsiveness in ways no textbook can teach. And once you understand this, every gesture, every touch, and every moment of connection becomes infinitely more powerful. Presence, timing, and confidence do not just enhance technique. They make technique almost irrelevant. They are the secret, unspoken architecture behind every moment of attraction, every spark of intimacy, and every experience that is remembered long after the touch has ended. They are the foundation on which desire grows, the rhythm to which connection dances, and the invisible thread that ties heart to heart, body to body, and mind to mind. In the end, if you focus on presence, timing, and confidence, the body will respond naturally. Desire will awaken organically, and intimacy will unfold not because you knew the right moves, but because you knew how to be fully, intentionally, and authentically with her in the moment. That is the true power behind attraction, and it is far greater than any technique could ever be. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship, and communication is the bridge that allows that awareness to create connection. Without self-awareness, we move through intimacy on autopilot, reacting instead of responding, projecting our own fears and expectations onto the person we care about. Without communication, even the clearest understanding of ourselves cannot reach the other person. Together, self-awareness and communication have the power to transform not just intimacy, but every aspect of a relationship, making it deeper, more authentic, and far more fulfilling. Self-awareness begins with noticing yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your desires, your triggers. It is the ability to pause and ask, why am I feeling this way? What do I really want in this moment? How might my past experiences be coloring the way I perceive her responses? This level of reflection creates clarity. It allows you to separate your needs from assumptions about her needs. It allows you to step out of patterns that may have sabotaged connection in the past. Without self-awareness, even the most caring intentions can be misunderstood, because actions are filtered through unconscious habits rather than conscious choice. When you cultivate self-awareness, you become more attuned not only to your own body and emotions, but also to hers. You notice the subtle shifts in her breathing, the micro expressions on her face, the small changes in tone that signal comfort or hesitation. You can respond to these signals thoughtfully, rather than reacting impulsively or making assumptions. In essence, self-awareness allows you to hold space for her experience as fully as your own, creating a dynamic where both people feel seen, heard, and valued. Communication is the tool that translates self-awareness into connection. It is not just speaking, it is expressing honestly, listening attentively, and creating a dialogue where vulnerability is welcomed rather than feared. Open communication allows desires, boundaries, and preferences to be shared without shame or judgment. It removes guesswork and eliminates the tension that arises when assumptions dominate. By sharing your thoughts and feelings clearly, you invite her to do the same, creating a cycle of mutual understanding that deepens intimacy. But communication is more than words. It is also tone, gesture, timing, and consistency. Saying something once is not enough. How you say it, when you say it, and how often you reinforce it with your actions matters equally. Consistent, clear communication builds trust, which is the soil from which desire and connection grow. When she trusts that your words are aligned with your actions, she can relax into the relationship and explore closeness without fear. Self-awareness and communication together transform the dynamics of desire. When you are aware of your own state, you can regulate anxiety, impatience, or distraction, which often interfere with intimacy. When you communicate effectively, you create a feedback loop. She knows how you feel, and you know how she feels. Misunderstandings are minimized, assumptions are replaced with clarity, and both partners feel empowered to express what they want and need. This combination turns moments of connection from chance occurrences into deliberate, nurturing experiences. Moreover, self-awareness allows you to notice patterns that may be limiting intimacy. Perhaps you rush, overcompensate, or hesitate out of fear of rejection. When you recognize these tendencies, you can consciously choose a different response. Communication then becomes the vehicle to convey those choices to your partner. I notice I've been rushing. I want to slow down and focus on how you feel. That statement alone can shift the energy of a relationship because it demonstrates introspection, care, and respect. In any relationship, desire, trust, and emotional closeness are intertwined. Self-awareness strengthens your ability to contribute positively to all three. It teaches you when to lead and when to follow, when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to pause. Communication ensures that these insights are shared, making your awareness actionable. Together, they allow intimacy to grow organically, rather than being forced, rushed, or misunderstood. The effects of self-awareness and communication extend beyond physical intimacy. They create a culture of respect, empathy, and mutual growth. Conflicts are navigated with less defensiveness. Appreciation is expressed more freely, and connection deepens in everyday interactions. Physical desire is heightened because emotional closeness enhances responsiveness, trust, and comfort. When both partners feel safe, understood, and valued, attraction becomes a natural byproduct of the emotional bond. Consider how small moments shift when these skills are applied. A gentle touch becomes meaningful because it is offered with full awareness of her comfort. A compliment resonates because it is delivered with authenticity. A pause in conversation is respected because you recognize her need for space. Emotional intelligence, expressed through self-awareness and communication, transforms ordinary moments into shared experiences that reinforce connection and amplify desire. Ultimately, self-awareness teaches you that intimacy is as much about reflection as action. Communication teaches you that connection is as much about clarity as expression. Together, they create a dynamic in which desire, trust, and emotional closeness reinforce each other. Every touch, glance, word, and pause becomes part of a larger conversation, one that honors both your needs and hers. When a relationship is grounded in self-awareness and effective communication, silence is no longer a barrier. Hesitation is no longer a source of frustration. Desire and connection flourish because both partners feel seen, understood, and safe. Intimacy becomes a shared language, expressed not just in moments of passion, but in the rhythm of daily interaction, the energy of presence, and the depth of mutual understanding. The transformation is profound. Relationships that once felt awkward, distant, or mechanical begin to hum with vitality. Trust grows. Emotional resonance deepens. Desire becomes more responsive, intuitive, and joyful. The connection becomes a living thing, nurtured not by chance, but by conscious awareness and deliberate communication. And in that space, you discover a powerful truth. When you know yourself and communicate from that place of understanding, you can transform any relationship. Not by force, not by technique, not by manipulation, but through presence, honesty, and a willingness to meet her where she is. That is the foundation of lasting intimacy, deep attraction, and relationships that are not only passionate, but profoundly alive.